everyone. Happy Monday and welcome to the latest edition of Futbol Americas. I'm Alexis Nunes and talk about Avengers Assemble. I have got Mauricio, Pedroza, Herculez Gomez, and Alejandro Moreno. This is the crew that survived the snowpocalypse.
Well,
yes, indeed.
Well, then there's still time.
Well, there's still time, and our
still
cars.
Gotta get out of here.
Yeah, our cars are still somewhat buried, but it's okay. Our producer Beto, though.
Not so much.
No, because he flew all the way to the West Coast, so must be nice. Must
to
be
avoid
nice.
it.
Shame. Cobarde.
Shame.
Cobarde.
No, I just say shame. I'm not going to call him cobarde on air.
Okay,
Cobardía.
I will.
I'll call him
Cobarde
after
Beto.
we're done the show, then I'll call him.
To his face. All right, well, we've got a packed show coming up here for you because guess what? Speaking of breaths of fresh air, Santi Gimenez sat down with our senior writer at ESPN FC, Mark Ogden. Look at Mark Ogden getting in on some Futbol Americas.
Never mind Mark Ogden. Santi Gimenez ready for Mark Ogden.
Oh, I don't
What
know
an
if he
experience
is.
that is.
But we're going to find out later on when we show you that exclusive interview. Plus, El Tri has been in action, and were they
Yeah, you can call that action.
disappointed? There you go. There you go. We're going to talk about that later on. But first, we're going to focus on the U.S. men's national team, especially a couple of their players who seem to be hot tickets in this January transfer window, starting with none other than Ricardo Pepi. Yes, indeed, because it seems that Fulham are interested in Ricardo Pepi, and we know that he has been doing quite well at PSV. Unfortunately, he's out for 2 months now after breaking his forearm. Now, we are hearing that Fulham have made a $38 million bid. That's around 32 million euros. And it seems that PSV want a little bit more than that. They're thinking probably around 35 million euros for the young striker, so about 3 million euros more. So let's get into it. Herc, I'm going to start with you because so many variables going on into this one. It's a World Cup year. It's a January transfer window. Does he go to the Premier League? Can he handle the pace? All the things that we talk about. Would this be a right move for him now in a World Cup year?
If he's going to play at Fulham, he's going to be the man at Fulham. It's a great move. It's a step up. It's a big move for Ricardo Pepi. It's just a very surprising turn of events on all levels for me. Here's a player who has never really been the man at PSV. Sure, his goal per game ratio is very good, but he's never been the man at PSV. And now they're talking about $38 million, nearing $40 million to go play in Fulham. If you look at Fulham's transfer record, that would make him one of the most expensive signings in their history. So he wouldn't be a complimentary signing. He's a, you got to come in and fight now. And that's, in its own way, got its own complications. Rodrigo Muniz right now is injured, hamstring injury. He was the man at Fulham before that injury. Now Raul Jimenez steps in. What's that dynamic going to be like with a veteran striker who's the man of the moment right now, with Rodrigo Muniz, who's 24 years old, who's a big frame, good player, who I thought was doing well at Fulham? Introduce Pepi, who's never really been the guy, you know, in a big club, certainly not at the level of a Premier League club, a team that's going to need results today. I don't know if this is the correct move for him 5 months out from the World Cup. It could be a blows-up-in-your-face type of move.
Ale, what do you think? Are you just as surprised as Herc? And if so, do you think this would still be a good move?
I'm so surprised that PSV are negotiating or pushing back on $3 million.
A lot of money.
Yeah, you'd say take the
I'm
money.
like, wait a minute. You're offering how much for a guy that we don't actually start all the time and that who's out for 2 months, and you're giving me this money? Like, do you know something that I don't? It's almost as if PSV are so surprised that this bid is coming in. It's like, wait a minute. There must be something behind this. There must be something that we don't know. It just doesn't matter if you're PSV or if I were making a decision for PSV, I'd be like, go on. Yeah. Sure, we'll take that
With the
money.
bow.
Go on. Yes, absolutely. As for Ricardo Pepi, I can understand the allure of going to Fulham, and I can understand the allure of going to the Premier League. And honestly, these are perhaps opportunities that don't come around all that often. So even if it is 5 months out from the World Cup, if I'm Ricardo Pepi, I'm still out for a couple of months anyway. So now it's a question of whether I'm going to be out for a couple of months here at PSV or there at Fulham. I think it's an upward move for him. And I think his role is not going to change all that much. Whether it's Fulham, whether it's PSV, whether it's the national team. This is a guy that comes off the bench and gets chances. And a lot of the times, he actually takes advantage of those chances. So I think it's a good move for Ricardo Pepi. If I were him, I'd be excited to do it.
Ricardo Pepi, I'm paying the $5 million so that PSV can let me go and play, or at least try to play in the Premier League.
Yeah.
It's just different level. It's just different quality, different competition.
And full of some Americans.
Absolutely. And even if Raul Jimenez is right now the starter, we'll see what happens when Rodrigo Muñiz comes back, if he comes back at all, in the rest of the season. Ricardo Pepi is used to competing for a spot. That's not an issue. And every time he's healthy, he's delivered. I don't think this changes the way Mauricio Pochettino and the U.S. men's national team coaching staff will see Ricardo Pepi. He will still be a part of the national team. And every time, as Alex said, he gets a chance, he scores. So his role is not going to diminish. I think it's the opposite. If I'm Mauricio Pochettino and I have a player like Ricardo Pepi who makes a difference, and I get him to practice day in and day out at the Premier League level, he's going to be a part of that team no matter what. So if I'm Ricardo Pepi, I don't know if he has $5 million in the bank. I'll go right there, get a loan, pay that money, and make the move right away. Because Raul Jimenez is not getting any younger, and Rodrigo Muñiz is injured all the time. Yeah. He will have a chance to compete to become their number 9, the starter at the number 9 position for Fulham.
Well, it's interesting because I definitely want to talk about the comparisons to Raul Jimenez in a bit. But first, just hearing Ale talk and just hearing what Mau just said, that he would take it out of his own salary to pay those extra $5 million just to make this move. Because to hear that you're playing at Fulham, who have been on a good streak now in the Premier League. So I want to know, how do you think that his club future then would impact his role in this U.S. men's national team, even though Mauricio Pochettino has shown that he doesn't necessarily care who you play for?
So Mau and Ale are thinking about it the way that one would think about it if you're a player heading in. This is a massive opportunity. This opportunity won't come about probably twice in your career. But if we take Mauricio Pochettino for his word, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You've got to be playing. You've got to be important to your team. At least that's what Mauricio Pochettino has told us, and that's what he's tried to stay true with this national team. I like Ricardo Pepi because I think he's a goal scorer. He finds the ball, he puts it in the back of the net, but you can't put the ball in the back of the net if you're not on the field. And for whatever reason, over the last 2 years, he's found it difficult, whether it's injury or whether it's being behind an actual 9, the number 9, the man, team captain, Luc de Jong, whatever the case may be, to get on the field consistently. You're going into a situation where Fulham is somewhat safe, but not too long ago, they weren't that safe. And there's not too much difference between relegation spots and mid-table in the Premier League. This is a risky move for Ricardo Pepi on many fronts. We've already seen what a move, too big of a move, too early, has done for him. But he keeps getting those opportunities to get on the field, and when he's on the field, he scores. So I understand the ability of wanting to bet on yourself. I'm just worried that with Mauricio Pochettino and what he's shown and told us, being a complementary piece may not be enough for Ricardo Pepi if what he wants to be is the starting 9 for the U.S. men's national team.
Sorry to interrupt, but Raul Jimenez is not only the starter, he plays 90 minutes on a regular basis. And he plays 90 minutes not because Marco Silva believes he's Karim Benzema. They don't have any other option.
Correct.
And if a club like Fulham, that, yes, indeed, will fight to avoid relegation for the next 18 matches, Marco Silva needs another number 9 right now. So I have zero doubts that if this actually happens, Ricardo Pepi might even play more minutes at Fulham than at PSV right now. Well, and that'll make a difference for Mauricio Pochettino, to your point.
He's got to stay healthy. You spoke about, Rodrigo Muñiz being injured. I believe he's got more games in the last 2 years than Ricardo Pepi. Pepi, for whatever reason,
because Pepe's been out, injured.
It's the knee, or it's the arm, or it's behind the 9. Trust me, he's a very good forward, and I agree with Ali. He just a guy who scores goals, but you got to get on the field to score those goals.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, is there a world in which Ricardo Pepi actually picks up his phone and not texting like Josh Sargent, but actually picks up his phone, right, and actually calls Mauricio Pochettino? Not that you would make him part of the decision, but talk. Talk it out to where you actually put some investment in the decision on Mauricio Pochettino and say, Coach, this is what I have in front of me. What do you think? What are your thoughts? You've been a manager of the Premier League. You've seen me as a player. What do you think? Give me your feedback. And in that way, you're actually saying to Mauricio Pochettino, listen, your view matters, your opinion matters. Obviously, you're the national team coach. And indirectly, I'm asking you, is this a move that is going to hurt me or actually going to help me in your view?
I disagree with that.
Oh.
I disagree with that. Because that's just a short vision for a big picture career.
No, but
Ricardo Pepi shouldn't decide to make a move or not, depending on what Mauricio Pochettino believes is going to be better for his national team status.
The first thing I said is that this wouldn't be how I would get a deciding factor. It would be something that would open a door of communication with Mauricio Pochettino, and I'll make my own decision. I'll make my own decision based on what I think is best for me. But I'm actually putting some responsibility on Mauricio Pochettino, because if Pochettino tells me, as a player, hey, I really think this is helpful for you, and it's something that you would really enjoy, and it will be a step up in your career, and this and that and the other, and I end up going there because I want to go there, and then somehow Pochettino uses that against me because I'm not getting the playing time, and I'm not picked because of it.
So then you're not going?
Huh?
No, but
so then you're not making a move?
No. We're talking in the future now. I've already made the move.
Here's the thing. I know what both of you are saying. I agree with actually both of you. It's a player shouldn't make a decision based on the immediate, which is the World Cup. But players do make these decisions based on the World Cup. You shouldn't, but it happens. And we're talking about a player who, besides Christian Pulisic, was the leading goal scorer of this national team at the last World Cup cycle and didn't go to the World Cup. So that's something that's weighing heavily on his mind. So while I agree you shouldn't make that short-term panic decision on something that can affect the rest of your career, it still is heavily weighing on you. So I don't find it odd that he would seek, or at least try to empower Mauricio Pochettino in some way to feel like he's part of the process, to feel good about the decision.
I know it's not the same. I'm not saying this is the same scenario, but Marcelo Flores, who was following a process at Arsenal, had a conversation with Gerardo Martino 3 years ago, and Martino said, if you're still playing for the under-20s at Arsenal, you're not going to the World Cup. You need to make the leap. And his team, his dad, his representation found a way to make a move from Arsenal to Real Oviedo. What happened with Marcelo Flores? What happened to him?
He was in Tigres.
That was the wrong decision.
Yeah.
That was the wrong decision. It cut a process of a player who was, I'm not going to say he was going to become a star at our Arsenal, but by listening to the national team manager and the national team manager saying to him, listen, if you want to play in the World Cup, you got to make the move. And it ended up being the wrong decision for Marcelo Flores and his development.
Yeah,
Tigres rescued him, saved him.
But you got to keep in mind, Tigres was his first division team. We're talking about a player who's already broken the bank at Augsburg, 20 million, and then you go.
That's why I said it's not the exact same scenario.
Ricardo Pepi's already had record transfer fees to his name. He's already an international player. I know where you're going with this, but it's a little different here for Ricardo Pepi. I really feel, and listen, ultimately it's a personal choice, but he's got to feel good about this choice. And I do believe, in my heart of hearts, he has to be playing.
Yeah.
He's not the number one right now for the U.S. men's national team.
Well,
I would just say, he's going to make the decision for himself.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what's best for him. And I want to make that very clear. But there is nothing wrong with having the conversation with Mauricio Pochettino. Just the same that you have conversations with your parents and with your agent and your loved ones, whatever. Okay, you can have conversations with them.
I actually think if he doesn't have a conversation with Mauricio Pochettino, he's doing himself a disservice. Like, it's something, it's just natural. Those involved, like, they always ask you after you do a move, have you spoken to the national team coach about this? It's the first question that comes about. I just think it's due diligence.
Yeah, take that, Mo. 2 actual players. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Ooh, getting spicy. All right, well, let's get a little
make the jump to representing players and make a decision for other players.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's make another jump now, because that was the big question. And, of course, in a World Cup year, it's if Ricardo Pepi does make this move to Fulham, where will he play? How consistent will he play? And will he be good enough to unseat the big man? And that is Raul Jimenez. Yes, we know that he is getting on in age, Mao. But as we said, Raul Jimenez has been the tried and true. He's almost a cult hero in the Premier League, as well as for Fulham as well. We know on his day, it's hard to find better, especially at Fulham. So what happens with Ricardo Pepi? What do you see? Do you see that he's one to take over now because he's aging, or is he one that's going to have to hold up that bench because he's probably for the future?
So we don't know what's going to happen with Raul Jimenez after the World Cup. There is a plan by Club America, the general manager, the president, Santiago Baños. They want Raul Jimenez to come back and play for Club America after the World Cup. And they prepared a very important offer that would make Raul Jimenez the highest paid player in the history of Liga MX. That's saying a lot if you compare that to what André Pierre Gignac is making. Raul Jimenez and his family are extremely comfortable and love living in London, and he loves playing in the Premier League. And as you said, he's become a fan favorite both at Wolves and at Fulham. I believe that he wants to play as long as he can in the Premier League at Fulham. And if that's the case, then I see it as a win-win for everybody. Raul Jimenez will give it another shot at continuing to be important for a Premier League club as Fulham, and Ricardo Pepi would have the chance to compete and maybe win the starting role. Raul Jimenez has been a player that has come off the bench and also has been important for Fulham. I don't think it's the worst case scenario if in the end Ricardo Pepi becomes a starter and Raul Jimenez at his age becomes a complementary player for that team.
Ale, this is your area of the pitch. It almost feels unfair to compare the two. Comparison really is the thief of joy, but that's what we're paid for. Ale, this is your area of the pitch, like I said. How do you even compare to the two? Do you see one thing that sets one apart from the fact that Raul Jimenez has been doing this a lot longer?
Well, I think what I would say about Raul Jimenez and why he has become beloved both at Wolves and at Fulham is because he actually changed his game from what was in Liga MX, from what was early on in his career, as to what he has become. You see Raul Jimenez play now, and it's all about work rate. And it's a guy that is making runs to the left, to the right. He's hold-up play, challenging for every ball, challenging every duel. 50-50 challenges. And so I think fans get behind that, especially when you are a team in Wolves and Fulham in this case that tend to be mid-table but not too far away from relegation, and you sort of need that spirit and you need that fighting attitude. And I think Raul Jimenez has brought that over the course of his career in the Premier League. Ricardo Pepi is not nearly as active and it's not nearly as physical of a player. But what he is, which Raul Jimenez is not, is a guy that the ball finds him in advantageous positions. Wherever he has been, whenever he has been on the field, in the few minutes that he plays, he gets a chance. You cannot teach that. That you either have that or you don't.
Yeah.
And in the case of Ricardo Pepi, he has it. So when you think about the contrast of what these players are as a forward, Raul Jimenez is a guy that will give you a work rate. Pepi will give you goals. What would you rather have?
Herc, how do you see it? How do the two stack up?
Well, they're just very different players. Raul Jimenez is the ultimate facilitator. He's a guy.
They could play together, by the way. There's a thought there.
I know you're a two-forward guy.
A different system because Fulham
don't play. They could.
Yeah.
I'm more along the lines of Mao said that it's not foreign to Raul Jimenez to be the guy who's listen, sometime last year around Fulham's FA Cup run, where they beat Manchester United, around that time, Raul Jimenez lost his starting position at Fulham. He was coming off the bench to Rodrigo Muñiz, the bigger striker, the faster striker, the guy who's younger, who just seemed to be more of the moment. And then Rodrigo Muñiz gets injured. And then it's Raul Jimenez who comes back into the fold in that starting 11. And he starts scoring goals. And people want to cheer him on for his story, but also what Ali mentioned about his work rate. He's an ultimate team player. He's a better player than Ricardo Pepi. He's just not a better goal scorer than Ricardo Pepi. I agree 100% on the assessment of Ricardo Pepi being a goal scorer. Without taking anything away from Ricardo Pepi or Chicharito Hernandez, he's much more Chicharito than he is being more of a team player.
Interesante.
He's a guy who's going to push the ball in the back of the net all types of ways. But if you're paying close to $40 million for a team like Fulham, that's territory of one of the highest transfer fees that Fulham's ever had. I don't believe you come in to be a complementary piece. I believe you come in to be a solution today for a team that may very well be fighting relegation.
Especially for that fee.
Exactly.
for that fee.
So I do think you have to produce and quick. And Ricardo Pepi, when he went to Augsburg in the Bundesliga, he found that very difficult. A different age, a different jump, Major League Soccer to the Bundesliga, but he's been playing in the Eredivisie, and we've seen there to be an Eredivisie tax when you go into the Premier League. So I would love for him to be the man, play those 90 minutes, but I see him right now as being a goal-scoring solution if he gets on the field, but not a solution to the other things your club may need. But what Jimenez have done for you?
I was just going to say, there's a parallel in their careers. Raul struggled after he made a move to Atletico de Madrid. He had to move to a different level.
Even struggled with
Went to Portugal, did great, made the jump back to the elite level at the Premier League with Wolves, and the rest is history. It can be the same for Ricardo Pepi following that path.
Yeah. If I may, as it pertains to the fee, the actual fee, we're looking at it from the perspective of Ricardo Pepi or Raul Jimenez or Fulham. About the Fulham fans who are looking at their club making this sort of investment in a player who will not be available for another 6 weeks, if not more. And so that puts an additional amount of pressure on Ricardo Pepi that when he comes back from this injury, it's not like he can ease his way into it. No, there's an expectation already built up. We've paid this money. There's a transfer fee. You're going to come to score goals right away, right? Yeah? You're going to do it now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Now. We need it now. That may be a little tricky for somebody who is trying to sort of figure out what his place is in the team. I still would make the move, though.
All right. Well, sticking with Fulham, we're going to talk about another player there, and that is Antonee Robinson, because, yes, indeed, it seems like Liverpool are once again interested. Alan looks stressed out. Liverpool are
still
once
talking
again
about,
interested.
Are we talking about Pepi still?
Just getting started, Ale. Take it easy.
Reports suggest that the Premier League champions
a lot of snow shoveling going on.
A move for Jedi Robinson, especially with the rumors linking their tried and true left back Andy Robertson with a move to London to Tottenham Hotspur. So it's no secret that Liverpool were already courting with the idea of signing Jedi. He has been a hot commodity in the Premier League. Speaking of work rate, we've talked about that a number of times on the show. But can Jedi go and start regularly at Liverpool, especially considering their situation right now? Or do you think it is contingent on Andy Robertson has to sign for Spurs?
I think that needs to happen, number one. But if that actually happens, I think he can start right away.
He'd be better than Herculez.
Herculez has been a disappointment so far. Liverpool made a huge investment in changing the fullbacks, and the results have not been there. Both have been injured, but Herculez, when healthy, he has been fine. He has not made a difference. I'm not saying that Jedi would make an immediate difference or impact, but he knows the league. He's been a top player in that position for several years. And it's no coincidence that even Pep Guardiola at some point said, my ideal left back is a player like Antonee Robinson. That says it all. And the way Arne Slot likes his fullbacks to play fits exactly the qualities for Antonee Robinson. Now, again, the question, would he be able to stay healthy for the run of a season? That has not been the case, and that's clearly concerning. But if there was going to be a moment in his career when he can actually make the jump from Fulham to a perennial competitor as Liverpool, it would be right now. And I think it would be a good fit for both, for a player and a club.
Herc, what do you think on this one?
Well, what type of Antonee Robinson are we getting here? Antonee Robinson's got, all 8 games under his belt since he's come back from that injury, that knee injury that we thought was just going to be something minimal, that cost him half the season, cost him a good year with the U.S. men's national team, where about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, we were reading reports that he was sent back down to check with doctors to reevaluate that knee, and all of a sudden things changed. Well, it's only been a couple months. It's only been about 8 games. So what type of Antonee Robinson? But if it's the Antonee Robinson from last year that exploded onto the scene, double-digit assists, that was one of the best left backs in the Premier League, that is a force to be reckoned with down that left-hand side, that athletically is one of the best players in the Premier League, I think it's a no-brainer. He's only 28 years of age. If he's healthy, I think he's a player that adds tremendous value going forward, tremendous value on the defensive end. He's a leader, but it really stems on his health. And while I would love to sit here and say this is exactly what the U.S. men's national team should be striving for, I don't know how healthy or how much that knee can hold up with so little body of work coming back from that injury.
Right. So the question of fitness you can have about any player who's making any move. So if you're Antonee Robinson, this is a move that changes your career. And it changes your profile as a player. There's only a few clubs around the world that are able to elevate your profile if you happen to play well when you're at that club. Liverpool is one of those clubs, as well known as any other brand in the world. And it's a position of need for Liverpool.
Yeah.
So if he were to come in, and you know I'm a beacon of positivity, if he were to come in,
Fit.
play well, fit, stay healthy, stay on the field, and that happens to coincide with Liverpool turning their season, then you start making an argument for how important you have been to this club. And it changes, again, the trajectory and the profile of his career. Most players that are fortunate to reach a certain level in their career, they hit a ceiling. And Antonee Robinson would have been at the danger that the ceiling was Fulham. Now there's an opportunity to break through that ceiling. And if it becomes available, and if it is a reality, if I'm Antonee Robinson, I'm banking on my knee, on my ankles, on my back, on everything that I'm going to be ready to play, and I'm going to be fit, and I'm going to be good for Liverpool. Because, again, it's a once-in-a-life sort of chance.
How does this impact then, as Ale just said, Mao, because you move to a club like Liverpool, it's just going to elevate your level. How does this impact his role within the U.S. men's national team squad? Even though, because just a couple of weeks ago, he was saying that he understands or he feels that his role there is no longer a guarantee because of his injuries, that he has to fight for his place, even though a lot of us would say he's definitely going to be the first choice.
I absolutely understand where he's coming from. If I'm not fit, if I'm not available, what's a cliche? Your best ability is your availability. If he's not available to the team, of course he's going to feel that his place is not safe. Now, if he's recovered well, if he plays consistently, shows no effects from his recovery, makes the jump to Liverpool, and Liverpool will have to compete at Champions League level to finish in the top 4 of the Premier League. It's not a guarantee for Liverpool at this point. No. But as Alice said, if he becomes an important player in that run, in that stretch, I do not see any scenario in which he's not the starter for the U.S. men's national team. Before the injury, he was probably one of the safest bets as who will start for the U.S. Back to his health, playing time at that level. I mean, how is he not a consummate starter for that team?
All right. Well, because I bullied Mao a little earlier and reminded him that he wasn't a professional player like these two over here, I'm going to leave it there.
Even though I was a better player.
I'm going to let him have the last word on this Antonee Robinson.
He just didn't get the chance.
All right. Well, we're talking about El Tri, so I have 3 questions about El Tri. Did you like that, guys? Did you see pun intended? See what I did there? I didn't actually come up with it by myself. But you know what? It was a joint effort. All right. First question now, because if you didn't hear the little grunt at the beginning of the highlight, that was Ale Moreno, because he wasn't exactly, I suppose, excited about the performances from Mexico in this one. But let me start with our Mexico expert. Mao, how concerning was the level and the quality that we saw from Mexico in not just this game, but also the game against Panama? Just keeping in mind that, of course, they are without a couple of the big guns because this wasn't a FIFA window.
It was concerning because from the starting 11 against Bolivia, I can see 5 players starting against South Africa in the first game, the opening game of the World Cup. I see Marcel Ruiz starting. I see Jesus Gallardo starting. I see Reyes starting. Sadly, and it pains me to say, that I see Jorge Sanchez starting because there are many more options at right back. And maybe we have ourselves the starting goalkeeper for the Mexican national team in El Tal Arangel, although I truly believe that's still an open competition. But it is concerning. Diego Lainez, if he still plays well at Tigres, who else is going to start at the right wing for Mexico. Who else? He has a shot to become a starter in the World Cup. And if that's the level of the team, it is absolutely concerning. I know the rest of the ensemble are not here, especially Johan Vázquez, Cesar Montes. I know we'll talk about Edson Alvarez, so we'll talk about him a little later. But I just don't see difference makers. I was not expecting to see great collective play by this team. But at least I was expecting a couple of those players showing something, a different spark that can make Javier Aguirre say, listen, if we're not playing great collectively, at least if the ball reaches this guy, then something can happen. And the Mexican national team right now doesn't have a player with those qualities. And the second part of this is the level of the opposition wasn't great.
Yeah.
Bolivia, Panama, not great. So that's why I feel it was extremely concerning what we saw from the national team in these two friendly matches.
Herc, do you agree with Mao, or would you be just as concerned?
If we're going about just these two games, it's not concerning. Let's be honest, because you say 5 starters, you're still playing with another 6 guys that probably would under no circumstances be there. You have no players that are your star players, no Raul Jimenez, no Santi Gimenez, no Edson Alvarez. You don't have the 2 center backs. It's not to blow everything up. You still won both games. You're playing against opposition that isn't quality opposition, but neither are you at the moment. It's not a FIFA fixture date. The problem is you're coming off 6 games that you hadn't won before the Panama game. The problem is now you have 8 halves of 90 minutes footballs, 45 minutes, those first halves, where you've not scored a goal. So you're accumulating the bad past performances, the heavy weight and black cloud that hangs over this club, and you're adding it to what Mao just said, nobody does anything for you. But I don't think it was as concerning, because I actually did see a few players where I was like, oh, hold on a second. This guy came out of nowhere, and now because of the depleted player pool, has an opportunity, maybe not in a starting role, maybe one of them in a starting role, but in a complementary role. There are some things you got out of it. Oh, by the way, you snapped a 6-game losing streak. So I don't think the level per se was as concerning, because we see this all the time. You throw on 11 guys who have never played with each other, a back line of 4 that's never played with each other, or 5 in the first game that have never played with each other, a different goalkeeper, and things are going to look not as great. But they still won both games, and a few players raised an eyebrow or two for them to be in consideration for the next FIFA fixture. So I'm not as...
Who?
Richie Ledesma being one. Absolutely. I thought you talk about Jorge Sanchez. Nobody wants to see Jorge Sanchez anymore. I actually think it's going to be Israel Reyes playing in the right back position when it's all said and done. But Richie Ledesma proved that he could be a player that says, you know what? I may be involved in the next FIFA fixture date, because how he did against Panama, regardless of the level, it's not on him. That's an interesting prospect. And also, both 9s in the very limited time that they had in both games showed you something. And when there's only 1 9 that's a guarantee, and Santi Gimenez may be the big name, but not a guarantee, so let's pencil those 2 guys in, there's still 1 spot up for grabs. And both these players proved, like, hey, I got a say in this. So I didn't think it was a total loss. But when you accumulate everything, that dark cloud that's been following this team around, I can see why Mao says this level is very concerning.
Ale?
Man, Herc, I wish you would live with me and were able to lift me up every day like this. Boy, because it is. I know.
Was that Herc or was that Chicharito?
Oh, interesante.
Interesante. Look, all I would say is that this black cloud that you're talking about with this national team, it's still there. It's still there. In all honesty, there's no reason to get excited about this group. Whether it's 5 starters, 6 starters, 11 starters, if the reason to get excited is Raul Jimenez, with all due respect,
times are hard.
Let's be honest. Then you're thinking, hold on a second, is that enough? Edson Alvarez, is that the reason to get excited? I don't see it.
Yeah, but nobody's talking about getting excited. But these 2 games don't make me more concerned for Mexico than I was already coming into these games. That's a reality.
Right, but you're hoping that you see, as you're getting closer to the World Cup, that you start to find answers that are quickly apparent to you when you watch this team play. And every time you see this team play, you are finding more questions than you are answers. This is all I'd say about the Mexican national team. There is a reason to be excited. I'm going to give it to you.
Oh, man, this is, I mean...
Is it on the field?
What's the reason?
Is it on the field?
Great.
Is it on the field?
No, I think it's a very obvious one. They have the most accessible group that you could possibly hope for in the World Cup. And so therefore...
And in Mexico City.
Yes. You're talking about South Africa.
You're wrong.
South Korea.
You're wrong.
And whatever else comes in the TBD team.
Could be a Denmark.
You, sir, you are wrong.
All right, put Denmark
wrong,
somewhere in
just so you
Mexico.
know.
I'm not saying
Put
the
a pin in it.
altitude
He's
won't be a
wrong.
factor.
All I'm saying is that there is a reason to be excited because
No.
even with this group, you have a chance against those teams. And if you don't, then it tells you what the reality is of this Mexican national team. I thought you were with me in this. I
was with you until... Here's what.
You're telling me that the Mexico's group's a good group?
I'm not talking about the level of
But
the
you're
group.
seeing there's challenges.
I'm going with the history of the Mexican national team at the World Cup. Whenever we've seen the best of the Mexican national team is when they play strong teams. Whenever they faced Italy, whenever they faced France,
Germany.
whenever they faced Croatia,
Brazil.
whenever they faced Germany. Those were the games when the Mexican fans said, yes, I am excited. The worst games we've seen from the Mexican national team is when they have to face teams like
Bolivia.
Angola,
Sweden.
South Korea, Sweden.
Yeah.
In paper, lesser quality opponents. So now that they have to play South Africa, 2010, that's a weak opponent. Yes, host nation. Mexico played, like, I was going to say a very bad word, but I don't curse on air. I don't do that.
No,
I don't feel
BPO.
comfortable. Yes, BS. So there's no reason to be excited about the opponents for Mexico in the World Cup. It's the opposite. It's going to be a lot of pressure. Those teams are not going to let them play the style Mexico usually plays at the World Cup. So you, sir, are 100% wrong with that assessment.
Wow.
No excitement because of the quality of opponents that they will face
they
in the
do
World Cup.
have-
Unlike you.
You are so wrong.
Unlike
it
you,
hurts.
I tell you what it is. Unlike you, I can see this with objectivity.
You can see past the hurt. He's been hurt.
And I can.
That's
yes,
fair.
He said, and I know hurt.
That's fair.
Don't
and
I, Alex?
you've obviously been cut very deep.
Oh, yeah.
And those cuts
have no
hurt.
idea.
I get it.
Still
I
talking about
understand it.
football?
But here, yes. After the show.
After the show. We're gonna talk about
All I'm saying is, this group of players, and add whoever you want to that national team that we've been talking about, it's not to the standard to where they can compete with any of those big teams that you just mentioned. And so their best and only chance to put themselves in a position where they can reach the goals that they want to reach in the World Cup is actually winning their group. And the only reason that they have an opportunity to win the group is because they're playing in a group that is quite accessible.
You've played in Bolivia before, right?
Yes, I did.
You would agree with me that the altitude is an ultimate leveler here. Now we can include the smog.
Not in Santa Cruz de la Sierra, that's lower.
No. I'm talking about Mexico. I'm talking about
all right.
Azteca.
Yeah.
The altitude, the smog, the sun. I do believe there is a factor and an element that is favorable to this team where it gives them an advantage to any team in that group. But certainly the player pool does not leave you optimistic. But that's an ultimate leveler. So I think that group is, and maybe this is not a good thing, but a very wide open group.
What did Luis Fernando Tena tell us about facing Mexico in Mexico City as of late?
They don't respect them anymore.
There you go.
Correct. But now
There you go.
they got to play them there.
All right,
with the
well,
full
let's
stadium.
go to the second question of my three questions. And this one has to do with around Ale Moreno's position.
We got the joke.
I just had to remind everyone because we went on a little,
Rant.
journey and rant. All right, Berterame, is he the pick, Mau, ahead of La Hormiga Armando Gonzalez?
If the World Cup started tomorrow, yes. He would be ahead of El Hormiga. I truly believe Javier Aguirre really likes Germán Berterame, and he would be ahead. More experienced, been there, done that at Liga MX level. But if you ask me this question again in 4 months, especially if Germán Berterame completes his transfer to Inter Miami, I feel that Hormiga González will be ahead of Germán Berterame in the pecking order. I think El Hormiga González will have another fantastic season, maybe even winning another top scorer trophy in Liga MX, and Javier Aguirre would have his hands tied, and he would be forced to call El Hormiga González as the third number 9. Now, I believe it can happen that both of these players make the final roster. I believe it can happen because Germán Berterame has played in different attacking positions under Javier Aguirre. But at this moment, yes, no doubt, Berterame is a little bit ahead of El Hormiga.
What do you think?
They're just different players. For me, they don't
are,
compete.
yeah.
You're not giving one an edge.
Well, right now the edge is Germán Berterame because he's played for Javier Aguirre at Rayados. Javier has gotten the ability to see him day in, day out. He values him as a player. He's a player that can play as a 9, a lone 9, with the ability of being that box striker. He can run the channels. He can play on the right, can play on the left. And when he won a goal-scoring title in Mexico, he wasn't the 9 for San Luis, and he still won a goal-scoring title. He can play behind the 9. La Hormiga is a player that he's a 9. He's a goal scorer. Ali was talking earlier about the ability to find the ball finds you, you have these opportunities. That is La Hormiga, that is Armando González. He is, respectfully, as close to Chicharito Hernandez as there is in this pool. A guy that maybe won't give you a lot besides the fight and the goal-scoring ability, but his movements are so crisp, and he
You wish you had one of those. All I'm saying is this is Raul Jimenez, ride or die.
Yeah.
And then whatever comes after that, then so be it. You hope that Santi Gimenez can at some point score important goals for the Mexican national team. But in my estimation, once you get past Raul Jimenez and the best version of Santi Gimenez, whatever that is, because we don't see it all that often, I think it's a drop-off to the rest. And the rest includes Berterame, includes La Hormiga, and includes this or that, and this guy or that guy. I really think this is Raul Jimenez and then the rest.
Go ahead.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Is Santi Gimenez a lock to make the roster?
I think he's a lock, but I don't think he's a lock to be an important player, like a big role. You a few segments ago, you mentioned that you're really banking on Raul Jimenez, which, unfortunately, Mexican national team fans, yes, they're really banking on him, but he's going to be 35 years old, and you're a small injury or a different form away of being like, who?
What if Santi doesn't play at all before the World Cup? Is he still a lock?
Well, we'll have that
All
conversation.
right,
Okay.
guys.
Cross that bridge when we get
We
there.
have a Santi
Sounds
Gimenez interview
good.
coming.
That's question number 3.
I have question number 3. We have Santi
No,
Gimenez
was not it.
actually giving us answers later on. So
Oh,
let's
yeah.
reserve
My
the
bad,
Santi questions.
my bad.
Question 3 of my 3 questions. Let's talk about the goalkeeper, shall we? Tala Rangel, is he now Aguirre's starting goalkeeper? And how do you feel about that? Because I feel it's almost like we could draw parallel to the Mauricio Pochettino, Matt Freese situation. But what do you think?
I feel absolutely all right, because to answer your first question, the answer is no.
You still think
I
there's
don't think
competition?
Tala Rangel is Aguirre's starting goalkeeper. I don't believe Javier Aguirre has a starting goalkeeper right now.
That's worse.
That's way worse.
Yeah.
That's way worse. That's just reality. For many World Cup processes, right? For many years, the Mexican national team never had a goalkeeper problem. Now they do. The goalkeeper position is a problem for the Mexican national
So
team.
which one would be your number 1? Yours.
My number 1?
Your number 1. Other
Malagón.
than me.
Angel Malagón is my number 1. I feel Malagón is a better all-around keeper than El Tala Rangel. Do I believe Angel Malagón is a great goalkeeper? I don't think so. He's a good goalkeeper, not great. I feel the same about Tala Rangel. And I honestly believe Javier Aguirre feels the exact same way.
2010, Memo Ochoa was supposed to be the guy at the World Cup. In comes Javier Aguirre last second, Bombero, and he's like, Not quite yet. And he brings in El Conejo Perez. And El Conejo had one advantage over Memo Ochoa is that he commanded the box in a way that Memo Ochoa has never done in his career. Memo Ochoa is under the sticks, a very good reaction goalkeeper, doesn't come out for crosses, doesn't feel good commanding his box. Luis Angel Malagon is that exact same goalkeeper. That is not what Javier Aguirre likes. What he does like in Tala Rangel is that he's a lengthier goalkeeper who commands his box. And while I agree there's not too much difference in the all-around game after that, he has that advantage over him. And Guillermo Ochoa is in Cyprus. And I'm not a connoisseur of the league in Cyprus, so I can't tell you exactly besides what I see in highlights of Memo Ochoa. But
Your lack of commitment to this show, it's embarrassing.
But the fact that we still have this conversation,
good enough for David Luiz.
The fact that we have this conversation still speaks to what this goalkeeping pool is. I think he's the front runner, but we're splitting hairs if we're being honest. And I just think it's Javier Aguirre does not think Luis Angel Malagon is that guy, and maybe he's just a little bit more convinced that Tala Rangel is just slightly better.
All right. Well, in the interest of time, Ale, you don't have to weigh in on
That's quite all right. Thank you. Thank you. Gracias.
Lord knows you have to weigh in on a lot of goalkeeper chat with our boy Shaka Hislop. But I do have a bonus question. So 3 went to 4. And this has to do with Herc. You probably can identify with this. The 2 U.S.-born players who, of course, have been suiting up and chose to suit up in El Tri's shirt. They both have done pretty fairly well, I guess I could say. Do you think anything that they have done is good enough to earn them a future call-up?
Well, in the terms of Brian Gutierrez, it came very quickly. He had a few games with Chivas. This non-fixture day came about. One-time switch. He's done. Gets called up. I don't think he did enough in these 2 games where it makes Javier Aguirre think, especially with the midfield options that he does have, the familiarity with some of those players that he does feel. But in terms of Richie Ledesma, Ledesma's a player that I thought did very well against Panama. He's a player from the right back position, whether a wing back or a back forward, that's done very well for Chivas de Guadalajara. He's a player who feels very comfortable on the ball. He was naturally a center midfielder. He spent some time in Europe. I don't think Javier Aguirre or pundits want to see much more of Jorge Sanchez. I really do feel that he's over Julian Araujo. He's put Julian Araujo on an island. He's never called him again. You've got players like Kevin Alvarez who aren't in their best moment. Club America, fans, pundits, Javier probably doesn't want to see him either. It's Israel Reyes, Jorge Sanchez, what's left of him. And I really do feel Richie Ledesma has a say in this. So he's 25 years old right now. If you're telling me, do I think he's going to be in the World Cup? I do. I don't know if it's as a starter, but I see him being there because of what he can offer you and what the others haven't offered you. You're playing a converted right back in Reyes, who's a player I rate very much, but it's not his position. He stay at home. Ledesma is not stay at home. He offers you something going forward.
Mau?
Brian Gutierrez has a shot at making the final roster. I think Richie Ledesma has a shot at being a starter at the World Cup.
Ooh.
That's the main difference between them two. I love Brian Gutierrez and what he has done with Chivas. I think he's been fantastic for Chivas, even though he's playing in a different position from what he was playing in Major League Soccer.
Mexico, yeah.
But he's done great with Guadalajara, and Guadalajara has done fantastic to start the season. We'll see what happens the rest of the way. But I do feel like, as we said, with the number 9 spot, the goalkeeper, the middle of the field, I feel it's different for Javier Aguirre. I think those 3-4 players are set.
Yes.
So it will be tougher for Brian Gutierrez to make Javier Aguirre think how many options he has to be a part of that team. But we've said it before, right back, it's wide open.
Yeah.
And if Richie Ledesma keeps playing at this level, again, he not only has a shot at making the roster, I think he has a shot at being a starter.
All I know and all I would tell you is that the Jorge Sanchez hate in this show is real. Oh, it's alive and
the hate or the deep analysis, breakdown of his poor performances?
What's left of him? That took me aback.
I don't think Jorge Sanchez is going to make it, guys.
All right, well, if you didn't get an idea, there are a lot, and I mean a lot of questions surrounding Santi Gimenez when it comes to his role in this Mexican national team and what exactly he can do at the World Cup this summer. So we sent our senior writer, Mark Ogden, of all people, to Italy to speak to the AC Milan striker to try and get some answers for us. They had a great sit-down chat. Let's have a look.
First question I have to ask you, how is the ankle?
Oh, the ankle has been tough because there have been some weeks that, in the past, that I was playing with pain, and then the injury or the ankle started getting worse and worse. So, yeah, I needed to stop. But now I just want to see the present and the future and to leave the past, because the only thing we can change is the present to create the future. So I'm motivated that I'm doing a good recovery, and I hope in a few weeks I can play again.
The injury, does it go back to the Gold Cup in the summer? Have you been playing with it for quite a long time and it's been affecting you?
Yeah, it's been a long time. Of course, at the beginning it was just a little bit painful. So we as a football player, if we have a little pain, we just keep going, you know. It's normal for us, and I think it was like a mistake, but I know every football player would do the same, you know, because we love to play, we love to continue playing. So yeah, I keep going since the Gold Cup, even before the Gold Cup. I was with the pain, and then it starts getting worse and worse and worse, and now it's the time to stop.
Has it been something that has affected you throughout your time at Milan? Since you came to Milan, has it been just a problem for you, the ankle?
I don't want to put any excuses, you know. I decide to play. I decide to play like this. So no, it hasn't been a problem. I just want to keep going, to keep working, and to never back down. You know, just keep going and keep pushing, because I trust myself and I know that the things with me personally will change for sure.
Did you get to the point where you thought, there's a World Cup in the summer, it's a big season for Milan, I have to get this done now, I have to get it fixed?
Yes, for sure, for sure. For me, it was like this season was like, for me in May, I was like, I couldn't believe I have this opportunity with Milan, with the World Cup, with my national team, with my people. And yeah, then the pain starts coming, and then it was the decision to do surgery, to don't do it, because it's an important season with the Milan, and it comes the World Cup. So yeah, it was a tough decision. But at the end, now that it passed some weeks, 1 month from the surgery, I can say it was the best decision. And the only thing is that maybe I could do it before the decision. But like I say, the past, we cannot change it. So now I'm really happy that I make the surgery, and just looking forward for come back stronger. Yeah.
So looking to the future, do you feel you'll be back soon? Are we talking February, March?
Yeah, I hope in March I can be ready. That's the goal. Of course, it could be more, it could be less, but let's see the progress. But I hope in March I can be playing.
Obviously, if you're fit in March, you play March, April, May, World Cup in the summer. How big is that on the horizon for you?
No, I think it's a perfect time. I think we have, if we are talking for the World Cup, I have 2-3 months that I can prepare myself with double trainings, double sessions, and I know I will be fit as never.
What is it like to... A World Cup is a special tournament anyway, but a World Cup in your own country. Certainly the group stage, you've got 3 games in Mexico and the knockout stage early on. What does that mean to you to play in a World Cup on your home soil in Mexico?
It's an amazing opportunity that God gave us, because normally it's like some players do not live this, no, to play a World Cup in your country, and we have the opportunity to do it. So yeah, we are really enthusiastic is the word, I think. And we are really happy to play there, because also our family will be there, our people, our stadium. Yeah, it's our country, you know, so we need to be strong, and we will be strong.
And you missed the last World Cup, so how important is this World Cup?
Yeah, for sure. I missed the last World Cup at the end in the last list, and of course it didn't felt really good because it's a dream for every football player to play a World Cup. But this is football. 4 years after, I have a new opportunity. Thanks God that He put me here in this place, and I want to fight for the spot first, and then for winning.
So, but what is it like for Mexico? Because we know every time a World Cup, Mexico must get to the quarterfinals, and it hasn't happened since '86 when you last hosted the World Cup.
Yeah.
So, is that an intense pressure that you feel because the home fans expect so much?
Yeah, I mean, the fans expect a lot to pass. It says in Mexico, el quinto partido,
Yeah.
the fifth game. And now that we are home, I think I would not say easier because every game will be tough. But I think with our people at home in Mexico, I think we can make it for sure, and we will work for it because the words it doesn't work if you just talk. You need to do it, and we are trying to work as hard to complete that goal.
So Mexico is a family. USA Mexico is not a family. It's kind of rivals, but you've got a USA rival at Milan in Pulisic. Do you talk a lot about the World Cup and like Mexico USA and who's the best?
Always a dressing room talk, not just with Pulisic, but with everyone. Like they make jokes of to us, or they ask like, who is better, USA or Mexico? And I start saying Mexico. Pulisic starts saying USA. It's a fight in the dressing room, but everything with love. At the end, if we play a game, we are enemies, like you say, we are rivals. But in the dressing room, he's one of my best friends, Pulisic. So yeah, we are always together, and I hope if he's not playing against Mexico, that he does well. But if he's playing against Mexico, of course, if I need to kill him, I kill him. You know, it is like this football.
You have to do better than USA. You must. As Mexico, do you have to be better than US?
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, myself, I would love to play against USA in the World Cup because of this rivalry that the football brings, and because the fans love this. No, I love to live this type of games.
So how big was the Gold Cup? Last year you beat the US in the final.
Yeah, it was amazing. For us, win the Gold Cup, it's amazing, but beat USA in the final World Cup is the double. So yeah, this rivalry starts a long time ago, and it keeps going. So I know the fans enjoy a lot to beat USA. So we were really happy to win the Gold Cup against them.
So with Christian, has he helped you? You've been injured and you've been recovering. Has he been a close friend and helped you, come through that difficult time?
Yes, he was a really good friend in this difficult moment. We have a lot of things in common. He's also believer of God. He is also, we like NFL. We like some sports together, and we watch it. Sometimes I go to his house and do a barbecue and watch the NFL. So it's a nice teammate, a nice friend. But yeah, at the end, if he put the shirt of USA, he's a rival.
Obviously, in terms of the World Cup, if Mexico win their group, there's a possibility you could play England in the round of 16 in the Azteca. Now, England fans will remember the Azteca was a very famous venue. The hand of God was in the Azteca.
Yeah.
If you play England in Mexico in the round of 16, that would be a very tough game for England, yeah?
It would be really tough, to be honest. But I mean, at that stage, everyone who you will face up, it will be hard, But something I have seen in the dressing room is that even if we are not like the strongest national team, no one wants to face Mexico in Mexico, No one. I think everyone in the dressing room was telling me this, like, I hope we don't face Mexico because we know you are really hard, you are really strong, and more if you are at home. So I know, like, what we think about England, that it's a really hard national team to play against. I know they think the same.
But how special is the Azteca?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. When you see 90,000 people with the green shirt, everyone screaming, it's difficult for the rivals, and for us it's like a push, a giant push.
Can I just ask you about Gilberto Mora? You talk about the pressure on Mexico, but he's 17 years old. Do you guys have to protect him a little bit from the focus? Because I guess he will get a lot of pressure because he's so young this year.
Yes, he's having a lot of pressure, but I think he's really mature. I don't know if the word. Mature, yeah. Like he knows how to manage the things. He plays like he has 30 years. It's incredible. But yeah, we will protect him a lot because he's our kid, he's our friend, our brother. Like I said, it's a family thing. And also I know that he has a really good family behind him that supports him a lot. He has a team that also supports him a lot. So I hope he will get a good career.
Can he be one of the players that emerges as a star at the World Cup?
Yes, I think he already does. He's already amazing doing with his club. We saw him in the World Cup. Like it was his first tournament with the national team, and like I said, I think he was the best player of us with 17 or 16 years old. So yeah, we respect a lot that, and I hope he continues like this. It's also important the mentality, as you say. So we will keep him away from the bad. We will keep him away from the bad side of the I don't know how to say it in English, but the lado malo de la escena.
The noise.
Yeah, with the noise and everything. So we will try to push him a lot to be the player that he potentially see on him.
Can I just ask you one question about the US? As an outsider, as a Mexican, how far can the US go in the World Cup? Do you think they can reach the quarterfinals, or do you think that maybe not?
USA?
Yeah.
No, I think they have a really national team. I think they can make. If I need to say something, maybe quarterfinals. I think they're strong. Yeah.
And let's just finish on a positive note. We're in January now. You're confident of getting back in March. What does the perfect 2026 look like for Santi Gimenez?
Well, first thing, I just want to be good from the ankle. I think that's the main goal, talking in football issues. So I want to be fit as 100%. And then if I am good with the ankle, I think everything will come alone, you know. Everything will come automatically because I'm a worker. I know how to do the things. And I just want to be fit from the ankle, and then from that, just keep going.
Here is translating abilities. Just a bloke from Manchester in the UK. Who knew? Who knew? All right, well, what stood out from what Santi had to say? Because like I said, so many questions surrounding Santi, especially this year. Did he answer any of them for you?
I mean, he's in good spirits. He's very positive about his chances of returning in good form, recover from the injury. It's a shame that it took that long of time to decide on a surgery. He could be playing right now if that decision would have been made a little sooner. But as he said, there's no point in looking back. Just thinking of the future, his mentality has never been an issue. But that injury came at a really bad time for him. He was playing, he was starting, he was not scoring, and then he goes down. AC Milan are forced to sign another number 9 in Fulham, and he scores. He's been a regular. So the fact that he sees a plan for his recovery, for his return, and the fact that indeed there is a time frame for him to be available for the national team, that was just nice to see. Listening to him in good spirits. Now, it's one thing to say it during an interview. It's a very, very different thing to have the all clear from the doctors, and then after that, going back to your previous form. I think that's what stood out. He's in good spirits, but he also understands that he has to follow a time frame for his recovery.
Listen, Santi Gimenez doesn't have pressure only from AC Milan. He's got pressure on all fronts. Mexico right now, playing at home with the weight of historical World Cups going against him, el quinto partido, all that. That's a lot of pressure right there for any Mexican player. Plus, you've got to worry about your post-club career because those games that he was still injured and nobody knew about that injury, not playing well, not scoring goals. Well, there was a trade being cooked up, a trade for players, Dovic from Roma to AC Milan. You had the sporting director actively talking about this while you're on the field. If he doesn't, in those 2 months that he thinks he's going to have double sessions, get in that form, not only for the World Cup, but get his affairs in order to stay a player at AC Milan, they've spent $40 million for him. That's not something AC Milan does often. So there is a necessity that you need to be that guy now. If he can't do that in those 2 short months, it's not only the World Cup that's in jeopardy when it comes to form, it's his club career and where he goes from that. Santi Gimenez is a forward that needs space, is a forward that needs the time, is a forward that needs everything in front of him. He's not an associative forward. He's not the Raul Jimenez that can do things for you. He's got the work rate, yes he does. But his best traits are his movements and putting the ball in the back of the net. He's not putting the ball in the back of the net with AC Milan. He's not been doing it with the Mexican national team, and now he's in a time crunch. We've been injured before, Ale. You know it's not that simple where you've got 2 months, you're going to be fine. There are going to be double days. Time really is against him.
Injuries are never a good thing. But let me just frame this as potentially a positive for Santi Gimenez. The timing in the injury is not great. I think we can all acknowledge that. But in having this injury, I think it allows him to get away from the game and start building up, not only physically, but I think more importantly, mentally. Mentally, to where he can now tell himself, I can trust my ankle. The problem was the ankle.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to tell himself. It was the ankle, but now the ankle, I can trust it again. I'm recovering. I'm going to be good. And because I'm a hard worker, and he's telling himself, I'm a worker, the one thing that I'm concerned about is my ankle. That's taken care of. Then everything is on me, and I can trust myself to do the job that I've been doing since I was a kid. The thing that I know how to do best, which is to put the ball in the back of the net. I wasn't scoring because of the ankle. No longer is the ankle a reason to be concerned. And so mentally, just as much as physically, all these things go hand in hand and allow him to think that he is going to be ready, that he is going to take on the double days, that he is going to be excited about being part of the Mexican national team, that he is dreaming of walking into Azteca Stadium and take all the love and the pressure and all the moment of the Mexican fan. Again, you can only do that if mentally you're in a place where you can trust your body. And you can only trust your body once you take care of your body. And he needed this break in order to do that. This is all a beautiful story I've told you.
Yeah.
It is very beautiful.
Very
uplifting. He's got to score goals.
End of story. Simple as.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Simple as.
And if Hormiga Gonzalez keeps scoring at this rate, if Germán Berterame makes a move to Inter Miami, plays alongside Lionel Messi, and maybe we see an even better version from Germán Berterame, Raul Jimenez is a starter. That's why I asked before, is he a lock? It feels like he is, but there's no guarantees in this. You guys know this better than I do. So I would be very, very concerned if that happens. Oh, it's the ankle. Now I get to play. And if he doesn't score, then it wasn't the ankle. Then it was something else.
That's why I said he's got to score goals.
Yeah.
He's got to score goals. Simple as. Well, you can have a look at our other show, Ahora o Nunca. Mao is always on that one. So is our Herc. Ale is still waiting for his invitation.
No,
right?
that's quite all
I
right.
can't afford the fee.
No?
Can't afford the fee.
I know.
Have you
Ale's
been on the
a
show?
crowd.
You've been on the show.
I have not. It's
bueno.
it's quite all right.
Yes, you have.
On Ahora Nunca?
In Los Angeles.
Nunca.
That's a nunca.
Ni ahora ni nunca.
Nunca. Ni ahora
Ni ahora
ni
ni
nunca.
nunca.
Seattle versus LAFC postseason in Los Angeles. You were part of Ahora o Nunca.
Oh, that's right. You've been on the show. You don't remember, but
It was
wasn't a
memorable.
show,
It was
but-
memorable.
It was memorable.
All right, well, that's it for this edition of Futbol Americas, but we're going to continue bringing you some exclusive interviews because on Thursday, I got to sit down with the USA's Tyler Adams and give you a little injury update and just a little tease. It may be some good news. He may be back sooner than later. Knock on some sorts of wood here. But definitely make sure to check out Futbol Americas on Thursday because another U.S. men's national team player could be headed or is headed to La Liga. We'll talk about that then. But for the moment, we're going to try and dig our cars out of the snow and get home in one piece.